Okay, this is a demonstration of using the new version 5 of OpenSeizureDetector to set up the system to use a PineTime watch. So we have a PineTime watch here with the default PineTime software installed on it, and a fresh Android install on the phone next to it. So we'll open Google Play Store, and then we will search for OpenSeizureDetector. So the OpenSeizureDetectors. We'll search for OpenSeizureDetector, and it appears there. So we'll open that, and we will select Install. So that'll just download and install it, and then we'll just select Open. So the first thing that happens is when it opens for the first time is we see the new Start Setup wizard, which will guide us through setting it up. So it'll ask us to configure the data source, which is the watch we're going to use, and then select which seizure detection algorithms we're going to use before it starts. So we'll press Next to go on to the next screen. So on the data source, we've got the choice of using the phone, which is just a demo mode, a PineTime watch, a Garmin watch, or network if we want to remotely monitor it. So in our case, we're going to use a PineTime watch. So select PineTime and hit Next. And now to use a PineTime watch with OpenSeizureDetector, we need to install a special software on the watch to make it compatible, and we have a separate app that we use to install that. So this first step here is install the PineTime Updater app. So we'll click on that, and it'll take us to Play Store to install this OpenSeizureDetector PineTime Updater. So we'll just install this app. It's only a small one, so it should be quite quick. And we'll now I think if we just go back now. Yep. So yeah. So now it says yes, it's happy that we've now installed the Updater app. What we need to do next is install the PineTime firmware on the watch. So we'll click on that Install PineTime firmware, and this is the separate Updater app. So we have to select the PineTime watch we're going to use. So we'll click on that. Now then, this is the first time we've used it. We have to grant it permissions to allow us to search for devices using Bluetooth. So it needs Bluetooth permissions. It also needs location to do Bluetooth scanning. So we'll click Grant. So it'll allow us to access the device location while using the app. We'll allow that. And we'll allow the updater to find, connect, and determine position of nearby devices, which we need to scan it. So now it's scanning for the devices, and you can see it's found the InfiniTime. That'll be the one that's next to us. So we'll select that, and we'll hit Select. And now, so now we're back at the main screen. It says we've selected the PineTime watch. Now we need to select which software we're going to install on it. So we'll click Select Software, and what it's done is it's accessed the OpenSeizureDetector website where we store available software for it. We've got two choices. There's either the InfiniTime standard firmware, which is what we've actually got installed here, so we don't need that, or the OpenSeizureDetector PineTime firmware is the recommended one there, which we'll select. So we need to install the OpenSeizureDetector PineTime firmware. So we'll select it and press the Select button. So now it says so now we've selected the watch, we've selected which software to install on it, and it says ready to start. So we'll press the Start installation. Now then, to do this, we need more Bluetooth permissions to be able to actually do the installation. So we'll do Grant Notifications. And yes, this is actually sending us a notification just to make sure that the process doesn't die in the background while it's running. So we'll just do Allow. Then it says Waiting for watch, and it'll be trying to connect to the watch. It's taking a little time. We'll just click the watch button on the side to wake the watch up. And yes, that's got it woken up. So now it's starting to do the installation. So you can see at the very top there, there's a notification showing that we're uploading software from the phone onto the watch. We can also see the installation progress updating on the phone screen and also on the watch screen. So this will take just over a minute and we'll let that finish. Yeah, so now the installation is nearly finished. We're up at 97%. So it'll finish, then it should flash up an OK. And then once it's flashed up image OK, the watch will then reboot. While the watch is rebooting, we can see that in the Updater app, it says that the installation is successful, and we can just press the back button to close the app. So we'll just press the back button on the phone to take us back to the main OpenSeizureDetector setup screen. Meanwhile, the watch is rebooting. It takes a while the first time because it has to copy the new software online. But there, it started, and and we can see we've now got the OpenSeizureDetector display on the watch, so we know it's the new OpenSeizureDetector firmware. We'll just click the watch button to wake the watch up. We'll just swipe to the right and go into the settings. And then if we just scroll up a couple of times, there's a firmware option in the settings. So we select firmware and we just do validate. The reason we do the validate firmware is it's a safety feature, so that if we don't do that, the next time we reboot the watch, it'll go back to the previous software that we had. So we need to do that to make sure it stays in OpenSeizureDetector. So just to make sure that's really worked, we'll press and hold the watch button until the watch reboots, and we'll just check that it does come back in the OpenSeizureDetector software. So that's the phone, the watch rebooting now. And yes, and it's come back in OpenSeizureDetector. So that's us done, really, because we've already selected the PineTime, which because we did that as part of using the doing the firmware updating, so we don't need to scan for that. So we've got the watch with the right software on it, so we can just continue now to set up OpenSeizureDetector. So we'll press the next button there, and now it's asking us which detection algorithms that we want to use. So there's a few available here. The OSD algorithm is the original one that we've been using for the best part of 10 years to detect the shaking associated with the seizure sort of deterministically. But we've also got a new machine learning, that's what the ML is, a machine learning algorithm, which is trained on user provided data, and I'm recommending now that we use that as well. If you want maximum seizure detection reliability, you'd use both the OSD and the machine learning algorithm. If what you're interested in is pretty good tonic-clonic detection, then you can probably just use the machine learning algorithm without the OSD algorithm to get less false alarms. But we'll just select them both for now. So we'll select machine learning and OSD. And when you hit next, it'll ask us which particular machine learning algorithm we want to install. Yeah, so there, it's what it's done is it's looked at the website, and it's just seen there's a few available, but there's one that's recommended, so it's installed the recommended machine learning algorithm, which it says there we can change it later in the settings if we want to. But it's just set it up using the recommended one for now. So hit OK, and it's also just telling us it's set up the default OpenSeizureDetector algorithm settings. So now setup's complete. So it's showing here that we've got PineTime watch and showing which watch it is that's installed. We've got the original OpenSeizureDetector and the machine learning algorithm set up. And we press the get started, and it'll then just go to the main startup screen, and it should start working. So this is now starting doing the normal startup. So we need to be able to show notifications so that the system can run in the background. So we'll do allow for that. We then get a to be able to talk to the watch, we need Bluetooth. So we'll hit OK, and we'll just select the permissions that we need to do Bluetooth connections. And then that's just a little welcome thing, encouraging us to subscribe to the data sharing system, which I do encourage people to do because that allows us to improve the machine learning algorithms. but for now we'll just do close. There's a warning there about battery usage that we'll come back to later. It's just to make sure the system doesn't shut OpenSeizureDetector down unexpectedly. But now it's connected to the watch, it's waiting for some data, and it's collected 5 seconds worth of data, and it's gone to our new main screen. So by default it's a very simple main screen now. We have a system status, it says OK, that'll turn amber or red if we go into warning or alarm state, and it's also showing which algorithms are active, and they'll also change colour if they detect a seizure-like movement. But then in terms of what we've got, we have a mute alarms button, which would allow us to stop the system alarming if we're doing something that we'd always going to raise false alarms, or if we notice that the wearer is having a seizure and the system hasn't alarmed, you can press raise alarm and force it into alarm, so we record the data. The other thing you can see in this screen is that the 3 dots at the top takes us to a menu, and what we have is a fairly simplified menu where we have the options to, again, report a seizure if it's failed to detect one, subscribe to our data sharing system to help improve the machine learning algorithms, and then we can test the alarm and warning beeps. So for example, if we test the alarm beep so we know what it will sound like, we'll press that button, and that's what the sound it'll make if it goes into alarm. And then if we want to alter anything, we can go into the settings, and we then have options to change either the general settings. We'll set whether it's in dark mode or light mode. This is in dark mode. You can change the data source, or you can change which detection algorithms you're using in that seizure detection system. Or if you want to use SMS alarm notifications, you can do that in the alarms menu. So there's a few settings that you can get to there. But the other thing to note in general is we're currently in the basic mode for the user interface. You can go into the more complicated one. If you unselect that and restart it, it'll give us more options. But basically that's got us to OpenSeizureDetector installed on a PineTime watch from scratch in what's that, 14 minutes. So that's it, and I'll do another video showing what you can do with the user interface.